balance of the critiques we did not get to. I think some things have been updated, haven't they? Yes. But this one has not been critiqued, I don't believe. Unless this is a redo as well. It could be a redo. How about that? All right. I don't think I looked at this one yet, though. How the young artist came from Oklahoma to millions of monthly listeners. All right. It's a nice image of him. There's a whole lot of countryside, which I don't think is Oklahoma. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Pardon me on that one. I should have silenced that. But I don't think Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's flatter. I could be very wrong. Don't recall ever being in Oklahoma, but I knew a girl from Oklahoma, and I'm pretty sure she told me it was flat. Nonetheless, let's talk about this. So the choice of making this type justified, that is flush left and right, not best practices, actually kind of a mistake. And why? Because it makes it hard to read. It creates these really weird gaps, these rivers we talked about in that lecture. And I would recommend flush left or centered at the most, but certainly this would be the worst of all choices. I suggest making the face of the star larger, because right now, if you look at this entire area that is occupied to get my attention, this person, the star of this, their face is what, this big, which is what, a 16th, a 32nd, a 64th of the entire spread. Make it occupy some space so that we can actually see the person's face and relate to it. And finally, be careful with your margins. The name is not centered, much closer here than we are here. It should be visually centered and not mathematically centered. Also, we talked about kerning. Consider kerning between your letters. But even bigger than that, I'm not sure that the red is the greatest solution on a blue background. Just that the contrast might be difficult for some people with some seeing disability to be able to read. And finally, does the font feel like this, I'm guessing, country artist from Oklahoma? I don't, it doesn't really matter. The font feels rather delicate for a person in denim who doesn't look delicate, if that makes any sense. This is very outdoorsy denim, kind of rugged feeling, not a rugged font. I would recommend making the font reflect what you're showing me so that it reinforces that. And finally, I'm not sure about the solution of separating the text from the background. So there are other things you could consider, right? Like darkening this section naturally looking so that it held it up, putting it in a bright section only so that it could be dark type by itself without the white lines around it. There's a bunch of solutions. I'm happy to help you out, Owen. Inside, are we at 50%? Nope. We are not. Pull quotes are probably too long for people to want to read. That's a lot of words. That's more than a mouthful. That is an earful. It's two sentences, and then some. And that's just too much. Make it super simple. The idea here is you're going to give me a quip, something simple, at the most a sentence that gets me to want to read further. Um, I wanted to create an album. You can abridge it too. You can put ellipses in there, right? That made people proud of America again. Now that it's dirt, tears, and blah 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 blah. Uh, yeah, so pick out the best part. Of the end of the world is getting near, but I still feel the same. Hey, that's pretty enigmatic. I like your page numbers. Well played on that. I'll give you that much. Absolutely. Um, his face would be right smack dab in the middle of a fold. That is not good. And both images are equally sized. I would You need more images. You need to be at least 50%, and you're not there. Um, I'm trying not to repeat everything that was said in class. Your margins, you're too close with the text right here. You need more images, and give me a star, a focal point for each and every page. So multiple images each page, and give me something to stare at, something to look at. His eyes are covered up. That makes this photo less effective than this photo. This definitely says something about mood and attitude. This says happy, but this could be anybody. They hardly look the same. Anyhow, um, yeah, hopefully you were in class and saw the rest of those critiques, since I'm not going over everything again. But that's where I would start. We did that one. And this is like a re-upload, maybe? I don't know. No, it's not. Maybe it is. Olivia Rodrigo wraps up the world tour. I do not believe we did this, so let's talk about Olivia. A little too close to the edge here with your text. I like all the different graphics around her. I think it's a fun look. You might want to try to harmonize her with the background. I'm not sure what that will look like, but it might make it feel like she's in front of that purple paper bar. Okay, so during critique, we talked about having a star for every page, a focal point. And I'm going to say the same thing to you that I said in the last one. This person's face is very, very small. We still see this person's face once looking right at us. Great picture. This needs to be the rock star of the page. It needs to be large and in charge. I mean, it could stand off to one edge of a column and make the column real skinny and have her go all the way to the bottom from there, right? So her face is at least twice as large. I would try to get it twice as large if you could. Just because we want to look at people's faces. Good best practices having her face in, and we do have kind of a focal point on this page. This page, her face is so small. It's just really hard for me to get focused on looking inside of her face. Margins aren't even around photos, so take a look at what you can do to even up those margins. Your text wrap isn't really wrapping here for some reason, not in any way that's looking kind of nice. So you might want to revisit this text wrap here and even this one here. Yeah, I would go with this image bigger and even perhaps another portrait shot of her, perhaps not on stage, not on the red carpet. What I'd love to see what I always like to see about celebrities is lifestyle pictures, right? One with her dog or something, giving her a kiss in the face, or her cat, or whatever it might be. Just something not media related. It could be a post media photo, but you know what I mean. We talked about Weezer. All right. All right. Talked about it, and this has been changed, I think. Yes, things have been changed, I think. Maybe not. There's the original of that one up there. I'm not going to re-critique things that have already been critiqued. I think that's where we finished right up in here. We did this. And I think we have this one and one more to go. Those two look new to me. So here we go. The finals, the final critiques here. Kate's the Elephant, Surviving the Neon Pill. I like it. I'm thinking that's one of their album titles. I don't know. I have no idea. I've seen them. I like them. I'm aware of them. They're a lot of fun. Good job not putting the faces in the fold. However, you've got some pretty small type in the fold. It's a condensed skinny font, right? So any type going in there, we're going to lose like maybe, if the fold is right between them here, we're going to lose 2 to 3 to 4 letters. And that's too much. So I would say consider making it fit into a page, a single page, or not using such a condensed font. In fact, you would be helped out going the other way, going with a font that was wider or an extended font, so that the letters were wider going into the fold, and you're not losing as many letters, right? This is pretty small. Or making this bigger and 3 lines and not going into the fold, or going into the fold and making it bigger. Yeah, I think I said that right. Before the band could record the great new Neon Phil, there you go. Answer to my question. Frontman Matt Schultz had to walk through a nonstop horror film. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, and I like the image of them. I'm going to challenge you because I do like these guys, but right now, like, their whole image only takes up maybe, it could be more powerful, I guess is what I'm trying to say. What if this was just zhuzhed up, nudged up a little bit, and then these guys were made bigger so that their shoulders were creeping out into the edges, but then their heads would be larger and I would see more faces. That to me would increase the power of that, because right now it's very equally balanced, almost too equally, and I definitely think that you want to rely on faces more than words. That's what draws us in, right? Is the uniqueness of what's going on here, the very rock and roll pose. All right, are we 50%? I believe so. I like this. I feel like we talked about this one already. Did we? Maybe I just critiqued it while you were working on it. But I'm liking that this is into across. Yes, and yes. That's good there. You're not folding anybody's face. Yes, and yes. I like that. I would probably make this bold or bigger. If that's how you're opening with one line, let's make it smack. Maybe bold and bigger, right? I've been calling it a miracle. Are there any other single pulls like that? I don't think so. I think that's what I would do. I think that would be more powerful. Other than that, I think your text wraps are superb. Yeah, I don't even mind. It's a good way to, as much as this isn't perfect practice, it's done all the time. I see it all the time. So I like the way that you just gone ahead and embraced it. Yes, page numbers are not quite right. Oh, actually, you got the Rolling Stone on the inside, the page numbers on the outside. Yes, you do. Well played. Ryan Reynolds, I just saw his new movie not too long ago, and it was interesting. I'm a big fan of the whole Deadpool franchise myself. I find him to be a pretty funny human. All right, and maybe go the other way, go big, go small, because it's so weird that way. I can't go over this way. All right, here we are. Almost all of it. All right. You've combined the background. And is this type really? Okay, so the type is really close to the edge. Let's start there. I like you going with the trope where he is over the type. That's kind of fun. I think I've seen his name in a font similar to that before. The line spacing between the font is too much. There's too much space. These need to be closer. I'm wondering if there's something you could do to make it more glamorous, because that feels very, well, not emphasized, and clearly it's not balanced with his image, right? His face is very large, and it's going to have a fold going painfully through it, which I don't think you considered. I think you should consider moving him over, and at the most, an ear could be nipped into a fold. Nipped. That's not even best practice, but a shoulder's fine, right? Just not the thing. So you'd come between here. If he was moved over this way and the name was over here, right? But his name needs to feel more special, because gray, black, and red, and then color flesh tone, it doesn't jump out. It doesn't pop against everything else, and it needs to be pretty equally balanced. And right now, visually, it's pretty subordinated. So the fold, there's that. Your lead-in, from Deadpool to business owner, comma, what isn't he doing? Interesting lead-in. I don't like the box over the edge. It always to me looks like something that's been added on with glue stick at the very last moment. Like, oh, afterthought, we forgot to put this in. Whack. And it's because it's not integrated, it's not unified. There's nothing else in the box in here, right? If it was part of a motif, that's a whole nother deal. And don't go with a motif in boxes, please. So from Deadpool to business owner, what isn't he doing? Well, if his face was moved over here, I don't know, one side or the other, and the type was one side or the other, then you could have this under his name. Right? And is owner the most effective word? Mogul? Business maven? I don't know what other, get a thesaurus. But business owner I was a business owner. That sounds pretty mundane. Entrepreneur's too freaking long. And he's not really an entrepreneur because he didn't really make mint, did he? He bought into it. And I'm pretty sure he didn't start a distillery from scratch. He bought one or is leasing one. So that said, I would bring these together. These lines are too far apart. These lines are too far apart. Pay attention to line spacing. Inside, okay. So we do have a champion. For the one champion for the whole page is right here. And it's placed a little awkwardly, and let me tell you why. Well, first of all, always make sure your margins are good, and these margins are just way too close. But the placement is the unfortunate part about it. Because there are natural breaks in the design of this image, I think you should use the natural break in the page and place this down in this corner. Now it's going to be over here. I might even go all the way over, so it came down, his elbow came down, and over here, this whole edge of the page. And now it's much more interesting than whatever his sight line is looking at. Pull the pull quote there. Or pull something else there that's interesting, right? So you're going to use his sight line to lead us. This black on red is way too hard to read. The contrast isn't there. I think you should reconsider the color scheme. It's one thing that I get it, it's Deadpool's color scheme, but we're not reading anything on Deadpool. So there. This is a charming kind of a picture. This could be maybe on the other page somewhere. Nonetheless, so are we at half a page or one whole full page, which would be 50%? I think probably not quite there. And here's the problem. All of these faces, other faces, are very similar in size. I'm going to say this one and this one are probably equal in size. Or maybe there's just a slight difference. But the point being is none of those are a champion. None of those are letting me see his face with enough interest. And which is the most interesting expression? This one, or this one. I went to the eye doctor today, so I could repeat that, but I won't. Either this one or this one, right? They're both kind of cheeky. Cheeky, boring. So amplify one of those faces or both of those faces. Place them in places where, sight lines help us. Keep it interesting. But right now, everything just feels kind of thrown in, scattershot. And then if you're going to do a thing where you're doing the interview, which is what this is, make sure I can tell the interview question separate from the responses. Were you able to, and it seems like you removed some of these, like all of them on the left page, or maybe it's two different articles. I would just remove this. Or if not, just remove the spaces here. Or put these in bold. Put that in bold so we know that it's clearly a question, right? All right. Good page numbers. Yeah. I think, not without a few issues, but really great bones and great stuff in it. Some things just need to be amplified a bit more. Yeah. Nicely played. All right. Thanks for watching.